Good afternoon, everybody. I had a fun idea for this week's video, something I haven't done yet before on this channel. It's a kind of a reading vlog, but with a twist. So it's October right now. I'm not actually sure when this video is going to come out because I'm pre-filming a bunch of videos to kind of come out whenever we have like a hole in the video schedule where we really need something to post. So I don't know exactly when you're going to see this, but right now it is early October, and that means that in a couple of weeks my church is having its annual yard sale. So I have been just absolutely in the midst of decluttering my whole house, especially with the baby coming in about 8 weeks. We are just frantically decluttering the house to move stuff around and to have more space. And so one of the things that I am working on, that I've been meaning to work on for a while, is unhauling my old books, like books I've had for decades. And so I thought it would be fun for this week to see how many books I can read and unhaul in 1 week. So I have just kind of over a week. I have about like a Thursday to Saturday type of thing to read as many books as I can and unhaul them. Now, we're going to see what this ends up being like. It could be really impressive because a lot of the books that I have that I'm trying to unhaul are from like my high school years. They're super short, they're super fast reads, and so each individual book I think is not going to take me very long to read. However, being, 32 weeks pregnant, I have 100 million things that I have to do on any given day. So it could be that I don't get that many books read just because I end up not having time because I'm doing too many other things. But however many or few books I end up reading, you will be here with me to find out. So to start out with, I looked through my bookshelves, and it's October, it's spooky season. So I thought it might be fun to start out with this book that I found on my shelves, which is, you can't see it because of the light, Terror Academy, Boy Crazy by Nicholas Pine. Now, I don't even remember why I bought this book. I think I probably got it at a used bookstore and just thought it was fun. I was kind of like a horror fan when I was a kid. I'm not as much of a horror fan now, although I do still love a creepy story. But I was definitely a horror fan when I was a kid. And so that's probably why I bought this one. It looks super cheesy. It looks like it's going to be a quick read. It's just like 175 pages. So we're going to start out with Boy Crazy, and I will check in with you after I get a little bit of reading done and let you know what I'm thinking of the first part of the book. Okay, so quick little reading update on Boy Crazy here. Haven't had as much time to read over the past couple of days because we've had so many house projects going on and people here. So I've been working, and then we've had people here doing house projects, and so I just haven't had as much time to sit and read even easy books than I normally would. But I have gotten about 50 pages through, which is only like 170 some pages long, so that's still pretty good. And man, is this book cringy. Like, I knew all the books I was reading were going to be pretty cringy because that was what I was into when I was younger, but this one's really, really bad. All of the characters just suck. Like Charlie, who is made out to be like the nice guy, is like the stereotypical nice guy where he's like, he like harasses Shannon until like she talks to him, and then when she asks him like why he's so insistent on talking to her, he's like, oh, well, there's all these other cute boys at our school now that you're moving into town, and so like I've got to get my chance before they meet you, which is just like a really gross thing to say to somebody. Yeah, all of the boys are just gross. There's like catcalling, they make like inappropriate comments. Even like Skip, who is again made out to be like charming and nice, is like somewhat inappropriate, and obviously he's being set up to be the villain in this story, and Charlie is trying to warn her and she just doesn't listen to him. Why she doesn't listen to him is basically not explained, except that Skip is really cute and she doesn't want to listen to him, which makes her sound really, really dumb. None of the characters are fleshed out. The book is not, like, scary in any way. It's not creepy in any way. They end the chapters with, like, what they think is, like, a, foreshadowing type thing, but it's done extremely clunkily. So, I'm still enjoying reading it. Like, I know the way I'm describing it is like, well, why are you still reading it? But it's really fun to kind of go back through these books that are super cringy that I used to read and just laugh at them. And so that's what I've been doing, and I am going to now continue reading this and see if I can get a little bit further on it today. Hello everybody, Stormy and I here to talk a little bit about some of the books that I've read. So I finished Boy Crazy a couple days ago, and just as bad as I thought it was going to be, possibly even worse than I thought it was going to be. I can't believe that when I got that book, I really felt like that was the height of young adult thriller writing, because it was really bad. I forgot how the entire, like, third act revenge plot that Shannon comes up with to kind of avenge her experience and her brother's experience, just like goes off without a hitch. Like nothing, pretty much nothing goes wrong with it. There's no suspense in it whatsoever, you know. She comes up with this revenge plot, and then they go and they do it, and then it's done, and so I've absolutely no suspense whatsoever. And it's a very convoluted revenge plot that, of course, like, somehow everything just falls into place, which is super unrealistic. And, like, there's all kinds of problematic things. I mean, her brother is disabled from this, like, attack, from these boys, that, like, the one she was dating and his friends. And, sorry, I just disappeared for a minute there. My other cat was scratching in the litter box, but it sounded really weird for some reason. I just wanted to, like, make sure everything was okay. But she's fine. She's just scratching around in the litter box. I don't know what she's up to. I can still hear it. She's really going for it down there. But either way, what I was saying was that her brother was, like, disabled from this attack from the, like, guy she was dating and his friends. And she goes to visit him every Sunday in the, like, he has to get put in a state hospital because they can't afford, like, long-term care. So she goes and visits him every week in the state hospital. But then, like, at the end of the book, she's like, I'm not going to visit him anymore because I have to move on with my life. Which, like, what? That's just, like, a ridiculous way to think about your disabled family member. And then also, like, the boy that has a crush on her that she gets to help her with this revenge plot. She tells him she loves him, even though, like, she originally doesn't, because she wants him to help her with the plan. She even admits it. She's like, I didn't really love him, but I told him that because I wanted his help, but now I do kind of love him. And I'm like, you sound like a horrible person. And so everybody's a horrible person in that book, and I gave it 2 stars on Storygraph, because that's usually the star rating I give to books where everybody's a horrible person, because my biggest downfall with books is when every character is unlikable. And definitely that fit the bill. Every single character was unlikable. So I finished that book. That's going on the donation pile. And then I recently started an Amish romance, A Cowboy at Heart, which I feel like at least this book I bought ironically. You know, Boy Crazy I bought when I was in high school and bought it completely unironically. Like, I thought it was a good book that I had bought. But this one, when I bought it, I knew it wasn't going to be very good. I got it at a yard sale, and it was back when the Amish romance craze was just starting out, so, like, just at the end of my college years, or just after maybe. And I remember thinking that, like, everybody being so fixated on the Amish was just like especially for romances, was just like a really odd niche thing. And I thought it was really funny. So I got this Amish romance. I am not huge on cowboys, so I also think that that's, like, not really going to do it for me. I also just really like how these people, like, they just look like some random guys in costumes. Like, they didn't try to even make him look super cowboyish or her to look super, I know there's no, like, way that a cowboy or an Amish person looks, but they look like normal people in costumes, you know. So I've read a couple chapters. I'm on page 39 so far. It's not good, but at least I bought this one ironically, and so the fact that I'm reading it ironically is not as bad, I guess. But we'll see what I think of this one. I hope to finish this one before the week is out and add this one to the donation pile too. Hello everyone, so I am about 85 pages through A Cowboy at Heart, and as a book written for adults, in some ways it's a little more compelling than, wow, the sun just came out and just shadows everywhere. Unfortunately, nothing I can do about the sun, and we don't have blinds on this window. Maybe I'll just, like, lean forward a little bit. But, so, a little more compellingly written than Boy Crazy, but just by a little bit. It's very one-dimensional, which I kind of expected. All the characters are one-dimensional in their own way. Like, the cowboy is, you know, recovering alcoholic, but in a very one-dimensional way. All the Amish characters are told very straightforwardly. The villain is, you know, the most one-dimensional cattle baron villain you've ever heard of in your entire life. So, like, I wouldn't say it's the best book ever, but I am enjoying it slightly more than I enjoyed Boy Crazy. And I also learned something today that I thought you might be interested in. One of the critiques I was going to have about this book was that I felt like the tonal shifts in terms of the writing were a little bit weird, because sometimes they tried really hard to write as though this was actually the 1880s, and then sometimes it felt like they were using really modern language. Like, the cowboy, keeps referring to Katie's head covering as like her white hat thingy. And I was like, why would you use a modern word like thingy in this book? But then I looked it up, and it turns out that the first usage of the word thingy is in, like, the 1770s, and that it was actually a pretty popular thing to say in the 1800s. So, there you go, the more you know. So now I can no longer critique them for that specific word, although I do still think tonally something is a little bit off with this book. Like, they were writing it in a very modern way, but then sometimes lapsing into just very, like, 1800s type language, and they couldn't decide what they were doing. So, all in all, you know, not the worst, but we're just kind of getting through it, seeing what happens in this book. They're setting up a lot of foreshadowing that I think they're probably not going to do too many surprises for, so I don't think I'm going to be, like, shocked at the ending of this book, but we're still going through it and having a nice time just seeing what is happening in these books. Alright everybody, I am here to bring you my final update on A Cowboy at Heart, which is also my final update on my books for this challenge. I was kind of disappointed to only get through 2 books, but kind of the problem with also being in charge of the yard sale is that I was busy doing that every day this week, and so unfortunately did not have as much time for reading as I wanted to because I was so busy putting everything else together. But I am done with A Cowboy at Heart. It was an okay book. it was better than Boy Crazy in that it was less like horrible in terms of like the like revenge plots and all kinds of stuff like that, and it was very like less cringy in terms of the way that the people behaved towards each other. It was at least written in a way that felt a little bit more authentic. I can't speak to how good a portrayal it was of the Amish community. I looked up some reviews that said that it was, but I honestly don't really know for sure. It was a bit predictable, which is kind of to be expected. You know, the guy Jesse is a recovering alcoholic, and so this is very much like a redemption story for him. And I did discover that this is the third book in a trilogy, so it might be that some of this book would have been more engaging or made more sense to me if I had read the first two books, because apparently, again, when I read the reviews, there is some character growth that happens over the three books, and maybe it feels predictable because I just caught all these characters at the end of their growth arcs, but I did find it to be a little predictable. I mean, you knew who was going to get together from beginning to end. You knew that